Captain Jake Morrison sat in his chair on the bridge of the UES Horizon. The small human ship floated in space near the massive Zephyrian battleship. Jake looked out at the alien vessel through the main screen. It was 5 times bigger than his ship and covered in strange blue lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. "Sir, the Zephyrians are ready for the meeting," said his communications officer, Lieutenant Amy Johnson. She was young and nervous. This was only her second diplomatic mission with alien species. Jake nodded and straightened his uniform. For 300 years, humans had been the weakest members of the Galactic Council. Everyone knew that humans had only recently learned to travel between stars. The other species treated them like children who had just learned to walk. "Tell them we'll be over in 10 minutes, Jake said. He turned to his second officer, Commander Tony Rivera. "Remember, we're just simple humans who got lucky with faster-than-light travel. We don't know much about the galaxy. We're still learning." Tony smiled, but there was something sad in his eyes. "I know the rules, sir. Keep the act going." Jake hated lying to the aliens, but he had his orders. Humanity had been playing this game for centuries. They pretended to be weak and new to space travel. It kept them safe from the bigger, stronger alien empires that might want to conquer. The Zephyrians, were tall, thin aliens with 4 arms and skin that changed colors based on their mood. Right now, Ambassador Valtar's skin was a calm blue as he welcomed Jake into the meeting room on his ship. "Captain Morrison," Valtar said in perfect English, "it is good to see you again. How are things in your small corner of the galaxy?" Jake forced a smile. "We're doing well, thank you. Still learning about all the amazing technology out here. Earth is so far behind compared to your empire." Valtar's skin shifted to a pleased green. The Zephyrians loved to hear how superior they were to other species. Their empire had controlled dozens of star systems for over 2,000 years. They saw humans as useful but harmless trading partners. "We have some new trade agreements to discuss," Valtar said. "My people are interested in your entertainment programs. They find human stories quite amusing." The meeting went on for 2 hours. Jake agreed to trade human movies and music for Zephyrian medical equipment. It was the same type of deal humans had been making for centuries. They gave away their culture and got basic technology in return. Back on the horizon, Jake sat in his private quarters and opened a secure communication channel to Earth. The face of Admiral Lisa Carter appeared on his screen. She was an older woman with gray hair and tired eyes. "How did it go?" she asked. "The same as always," Jake replied. "They think we're harmless. The Zephyrians want to trade medical scanners for our entertainment programs," Lisa nodded. "Good. Keep them thinking that way. Any word from the outer system?" Jake's face grew serious. "No, ma'am. Radio silence is ordered." What the Zephyrians didn't know was that Earth's outer solar system was far from empty. Beyond the orbit of Neptune, in the cold darkness of the Kuiper Belt, massive shapes moved silently through space. Ships that were older than the Zephyrian Empire itself waited in the shadows on the other side of the solar system. Commander Ryan Davis sat in the control room of New Geneva Station. The station was hidden inside a hollow asteroid, invisible to any alien sensors that might be looking toward Earth. Ryan watched his screens carefully, monitoring the approach of several alien scout ships. "Sir," said technician Lisa Brooks, "we're detecting 3 crystalline hegemony ships heading toward the inner system. They're doing passive scans." Ryan frowned. The crystalline hegemony was another major alien power. They were made of living crystal and could survive in the vacuum of space. They were also very curious about other species' technology. "Are they getting close to the restricted zones?" Ryan asked. Lisa checked her instruments. "No, sir. They're staying in the outer reaches. Looks like a routine patrol." Ryan relaxed slightly. The restricted zones were where humanity's real secrets were hidden. If the aliens ever found those areas, the careful lie that had protected Earth for centuries would be over. On the bridge of the crystalline hegemony ship Crystal Dawn, Science Officer Kethran studied his readings with growing confusion. He was a tall, humanoid figure made of blue crystal that sparkled in the ship's lights. "Commander Zixahal?" he said to his superior. "I'm detecting some unusual energy signatures from the inner system." Commander Zixahol turned toward him, his crystal body reflecting the ship's lights. "What kind of signatures?" "They're very faint, but they don't match anything in our databases. The patterns are ... ancient, older than anything we've seen before." Zixahol moved closer to look at the readings. The crystalline hegemony had been exploring space for over 3,000 years. They had records of technology from dozens of dead civilizations. If their sensors were detecting something older than their databases, it was worth investigating. "How old?" Zixahol asked. Catherine's crystal form flickered with uncertainty. "If I had to guess, sir, I'd say these patterns are at least 5,000 years old." "Maybe older. That's impossible," Zixahol said. "The humans have only been in space for 300 years. Everyone knows their history. That's what makes it strange, sir. The signatures are coming from their system, but they're using technology that shouldn't exist." Back on Earth, deep beneath the ice of Europa, Admiral Ben Hayes walked through the corridors of Fortress Prime. The massive underground facility had been built thousands of years ago, when humanity's ancestors first reached for the stars. Very few people knew it existed. Dr. Nicole Parker met him at the entrance to the main command center. She was a small woman with brown hair and intelligent eyes. She had spent most of her life studying the ancient records that told humanity's real story. "Admiral," she said, "we've detected alien scouts near the outer perimeter." 3 crystalline ships and a Void Hunter patrol?" Ben nodded grimly. "Any signs they've found anything?" "Not yet, but they're getting curious. The crystalline ship is picking up energy signatures from the automated systems." Ben looked through the reinforced windows of the command center. Below them, in a massive underground chamber, hundreds of technicians worked at control stations. Holographic displays showed the positions of ships throughout the solar system. Most of those ships were invisible to alien sensors, but some were so old and powerful that they couldn't hide their energy signatures completely. "How long until the fleet is ready?" Ben asked. 6 hours for the first wave," Nicole replied. 12 hours for full deployment. Ben thought about the alien scouts outside. For 3 centuries, humanity had hidden its true strength. They had pretended to be a young, weak species that had stumbled into space travel by accident. The truth was very different. Thousands of years ago, humanity had been one of the first species to achieve faster-than-light travel. They had built a vast empire that spanned dozens of star systems. But that empire had fallen to war and internal conflict. The survivors had retreated to Earth, hiding their technology and waiting for the right moment to return to the stars. That moment was coming soon. The alien powers were growing suspicious. The careful lies that had protected humanity were starting to break down. Soon, the galaxy would learn what humans had really been hiding in their quiet corner of space. In the depths of the Kuiper Belt, something ancient stirred. Massive ships that had slept for centuries began to wake up. Their crews, the descendants of humanity's first star travelers, prepared for the day when they would no longer need to hide. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were not the newcomers they pretended to be. They were the inheritors of the oldest continuous civilization in known space, and they had been watching and waiting for a very long time. The alarm bells rang through Fortress Prime as Admiral Ben Hayes rushed to the main control room. Red lights flashed on every wall, and technicians ran between computer stations with worried looks on their faces. Something big was happening. And it was happening fast. "Report," Ben called out as he entered the command center. Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Thompson looked up from his console. His face was pale, and his hands shook slightly. "Sir, we've got multiple alien fleets moving toward the inner system. The crystalline hegemony has sent a full battle group. The Void Hunters are mobilizing their war fleets. Even the Zephyrians are sending ships?" Ben felt his stomach drop. This was the scenario they had feared for centuries. The aliens had finally grown suspicious enough to investigate Earth's solar system in force. If they found what humanity had been hiding, the careful balance that had kept Earth safe would collapse. Time until they reached the restricted zones? Ben asked, 18 hours, sir, Kevin replied. Maybe less if they push their engines hard. Ben looked at the tactical display, showing the approaching alien fleets. Hundreds of ships were converging on the solar system. It was more firepower than humanity had ever faced before. Send word to all hidden facilities, Ben ordered. Begin awakening protocols. It's time to wake up the fleet. Dr. Nicole Parker stood beside him, her face grave. Ben, are you sure? Once we reveal ourselves, we can never go back to hiding. Ben nodded slowly. The choice has been made for us. Better to reveal ourselves on our terms than let them discover us by accident. Deep in the Kuiper Belt, something that had been sleeping for over 500 years began to stir. The UES Retribution was 15 kilometers long and 3 kilometers wide. It was not just a warship, but a mobile fortress capable of destroying entire star systems. Its hull was made of materials that didn't exist in any alien database, and its weapons could bend the laws of physics in ways that would terrify any species that saw them. Commander Ashley Martinez walked onto the bridge of the Retribution for the first time in decades. She was 43 years old and had been born on one of the hidden colonies beyond Neptune. Her family had been guardians of humanity's secrets for generations. Status report, she said to her bridge crew. All systems coming online, Captain, replied her first officer, Lieutenant Commander Steve Wilson. Weapons charging, shields at full power, engines ready for combat operations. Ashley looked at the main screen, which showed the approaching alien fleets. She had trained for this moment her entire life, but seeing it actually happen still made her heart race. How long since we last flew in open space? She asked. 537 years, Captain, answered her navigation officer, Lieutenant Paul Davis. The last time was during the Andromedan Crisis. Ashley nodded. The Andromedan Crisis had been humanity's last major conflict before they chose to hide from the galaxy. An aggressive alien species from the Andromeda Galaxy had tried to invade. The Milky Way, humanity had stopped them, but the cost had been enormous. After that war, humanity's leaders decided it was better to hide and let other species think they were weak. Captain, called out the communications officer, we're receiving wake-up signals from the entire fleet. 247. Ships are coming online, Ashley smiled grimly. The hidden fleet was larger than any single alien empire's entire navy. Each ship was a masterpiece of technology that had been continuously upgraded for thousands of years. The aliens had no idea what they were about to face. On the bridge of the Crystalline Hegemony flagship Crystal Storm, Commander Zixahul studied the energy readings with growing alarm. The signals his science officer had detected were getting stronger, and now they were detecting multiple sources throughout the outer solar system. Commander, Science Officer Kethron said, his crystal body flickering with nervous energy, I'm reading massive power signatures from at least 50 different locations. The energy output is beyond anything in our records. Zixahul felt a chill run through his crystalline form. Are you certain these readings are accurate? I've checked them 3 times, sir. The power levels are consistent with Dreadnought-class vessels, but the technology signatures are completely unknown. How many ships are we detecting? Kethron's crystal form dimmed with uncertainty. It's hard to tell, sir. The energy signatures are so powerful they're interfering with our sensors. But based on what we can detect, I'd estimate at least 200 vessels. Zixahul remained silent for a long moment. The Crystalline Hegemony had the second largest fleet in the galaxy with over 400 ships. But these energy readings suggested that humanity had been hiding a fleet of similar size in their own solar system. Send a priority message to the Hegemony Council, Zixahul ordered. Tell them we may have seriously underestimated human capabilities. Back on Earth, Captain. Jake Morrison received an emergency recall order while still aboard the Zephyrian flagship. Ambassador Veltar noticed his sudden change in demeanor. Captain, is everything all right? Veltar asked, his skin shifting to a concerned orange color. Jake forced a smile. Everything's fine. I just received word that I need to return to Earth. Immediately, family emergency. Veltar's skin shifted to a sympathetic blue. Of course, safe travels, Captain. Jake returned to the horizon as quickly as possible. Once aboard, he opened a secure channel to Admiral Carter. Admiral, I received your recall order. What's the situation? Lisa Carter's face appeared on his screen, looking more tired than Jake had ever seen her. The game is up, Jake. Multiple. Alien fleets are heading toward the inner system. We're implementing Protocol 7. Jake felt his blood run cold. Protocol 7 was the contingency plan for revealing humanity's true capabilities. It was something they had hoped never to use. How long do we have? He asked. 12 hours before we go public, Lisa replied. Get back to Earth as fast as you can. You're going to be needed for what comes next. On the hidden moon base of Titan Station, Colonel Maria Santos oversaw the activation of humanity's oldest warship. The Uzi's Eternal was over 4,000 years old, but it had been continuously upgraded and maintained. It was both a piece of living history and one of the most powerful ships in the galaxy. Colonel, reported her chief engineer, Commander Brian Lee, the Eternal is ready for launch. All systems are green. Maria nodded. She had spent 20 years as the caretaker of this ancient vessel. Her great-grandmother had served on the same ship during the Andromedan crisis. Now it was her turn to take it into battle. What's our mission profile? She asked. Fleet Command wants us to serve as the flagship for the Revelation, Brian replied. We're going to be the first ship the aliens see when we decloak, Maria smiled. There was something fitting about that. The Eternal was humanity's oldest active warship, a reminder of how long they had actually been traveling the stars, deep beneath the surface of Europa. Dr. Nicole Parker stood in the archive chamber, surrounded by holographic displays showing humanity's true history. The records went back over 6,000 years, documenting humanity's rise to become one of the galaxy's first spacefaring civilizations. Nicole, Admiral Hayes called over the intercom, we need you in the command center. It's time to prepare. The historical briefing. Nicole took one last look at the ancient records. Soon the galaxy would learn the truth about humanity's past. They would discover that the species they had dismissed as newcomers were actually the inheritors of one of the oldest continuous civilizations in known space. She made her way to the command center, where dozens of technicians were preparing for the most important moment in human history since first contact with alien species. On the main screen, she could see the positions of hundreds of awakening human ships throughout the solar system. Admiral, she said, the historical data package is ready for transmission. Once we reveal ourselves, every major power in the galaxy will know the truth about human civilization. Then Hayes nodded gravely. And how do you think they'll react? Nicole considered the question carefully. Fear, mostly. Once they realize how long we've been watching them, how much we actually know about their civilizations, they're going to be terrified. Some will try to make alliances. Others will try to destroy us before we can fully reveal our capabilities. And are we ready for that? Nicole looked at the tactical display showing the awakening human fleet. Ships that had been sleeping for centuries were coming online, their crews of hidden colonists, preparing for the first open conflict humanity had faced in over 500 years. We've been preparing for this moment for centuries, she said. Our ancestors built this fleet specifically for the day when we would no longer be able to hide. Every ship, every weapon, every defensive system has been designed with one purpose: to ensure humanity's survival when the galaxy learns the truth. The countdown had begun. In less than 12 hours, humanity would drop the mask they had worn for 3 centuries. The galaxy was about to learn that the quiet, peaceful species from the third planet of an unremarkable star system was actually the most dangerous civilization in known space. And they had been hiding in plain sight all along. The moment had arrived. Admiral Ben Hayes stood in the command center of Fortress Prime, watching the countdown timer reach 0. Around him, hundreds of technicians sat at their stations, their faces tense with anticipation. This was the moment humanity had been preparing for since they first chose to hide from the galaxy. All ships report ready, sir, Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Thompson announced. The fleet is in position. Ben took a deep breath. Send the signal. Drop all stealth fields. Let them see us. Across the solar system, over 200 massive warships suddenly became visible. The alien fleets that had been approaching Earth's system stopped dead in space as their sensors registered the impossible readings. Ships that had been invisible moments before now blazed like small suns on every scanner in the system. On the bridge of the crystalline hegemony flagship, Commander Zixahal stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Where empty space had been, moments before, now showed the largest fleet he had ever seen. Each ship was massive, some larger than entire space stations. How is this possible? He whispered, his crystal body flickering with shock. Science Officer Catherine's readings were off the charts. Sir, I'm detecting energy signatures that are completely unknown to our databases. Some of these ships are generating power levels that exceed our entire fleet combined. The largest ship in the human fleet was the UES Eternal, stretching over 8 kilometers in length. Its hull was covered in symbols that predated every known alien civilization. Commander Maria Santos stood on its bridge, looking at the alien fleets through the main view screen. They look surprised, she said to her first officer. I imagine they are, ma'am, replied Commander Brian Lee. They've never seen anything like us before. The UES Retribution took its position at the center of the formation. Commander Ashley Martinez watched as her ship's weapon systems came online. Each weapon was capable of destroying a planet, and her ship carried dozens of them. Captain, her communications officer called out, we're receiving panic signals from all the alien fleets. They're trying to contact their homeworlds. Ashley smiled grimly. Let them call home. Soon the entire galaxy will know what we've been hiding. On Earth, President Lavra Collins prepared for the most important speech in human history. She stood in the Oval Office, but this time her words would be broadcast not just to Earth, but to every alien fleet in the system and beyond. My fellow humans, she began, and to our alien visitors who are currently in our solar system, the time for deception has ended. For 300 years, humanity has maintained a careful lie. We have pretended to be a young, weak species that recently discovered space travel. This was not true. Her words were transmitted to every alien ship in the system. In the various alien fleets, commanders and crew members listened in stunned silence as the human president continued. Humanity is one of the oldest spacefaring civilizations in this galaxy. Our ancestors were exploring the stars when most of your species were still confined to their homeworlds. We chose to hide our true capabilities to avoid the conflicts that destroyed our first great empire. Admiral Lisa Carter watched the broadcast from her office at Space Command headquarters. Around her, military officers prepared for what might be the largest battle in galactic history. The alien fleets outnumbered the human ships, but humanity had advantages the aliens couldn't imagine. The ships you now see represent only a fraction of our true capabilities, President Collins continued. We have been watching, learning, and preparing for centuries. We know your technologies, your tactics, and your weaknesses. We have been present in your space, on your worlds, and in your councils without your knowledge. This revelation sent shockwaves through the alien fleets. The idea that humans had been secretly present throughout their civilizations was terrifying. How long had they been watched? How much did humanity really know? In the Void Hunter fleet, War Chief Gregtel roared in fury. The Void Hunters were a warrior species that respected only strength. The idea that they had been deceived by what they thought were weak humans was almost unbearable. Prepare for battle, he commanded his fleet. These humans think they can fool us. We will show them the price of deception. But as the Void Hunter ships moved toward the human fleet, something unexpected happened. The space around them began to shimmer and distort. Hidden weapon platforms, invisible to their sensors, began to activate throughout the system. Captain Emma Roberts, serving as humanity's new military liaison, watched from the command ship UES Vigilant as the defensive grid came online. The platforms had been building themselves for over 1,000 years, using self-replicating technology that the aliens had never encountered. Sir, her tactical officer reported, we're detecting over 10,000 automated defense platforms throughout the system. They're all targeting the alien fleets. Emma nodded. The defense platforms were just the beginning. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for centuries, and every contingency had been planned for the Zephyrian fleet, led by Admiral Veltar, tried to maintain diplomatic communications. Humans, he broadcast, we do not wish for conflict. We came here seeking answers to unusual energy readings. We had no intention of threatening your world. President Collins responded directly to the Zephyrian admiral. Admiral Veltar, your empire has been planning an invasion of our system for over 50 years. We have intercepted your communications and monitored your military buildup. Do not insult us by claiming peaceful intentions. Veltar's skin shifted to a shocked purple. The humans knew about Operation Starfall, the secret Zephyrian plan to conquer Earth and claim its resources. The plan had been developed in the highest levels of government with absolute secrecy. If the humans knew about it, they had intelligence capabilities beyond anything the Zephyrians had imagined. Dr. Nicole Parker stood in the archive chamber, preparing to release humanity's historical records to the galaxy. The data package contained proof of human civilization's ancient origins, including archaeological evidence from dozens of worlds throughout the galaxy. Admiral Hayes, she called through the intercom, the historical package is ready for transmission. Once we send this, every major power will have access to the evidence of our true history. Ben Hayes considered the implications. Once the aliens saw the evidence, they would realize that humanity had been present throughout the galaxy for millennia. Ancient ruins on their worlds that they had attributed to unknown civilizations would be revealed as human in origin. Send it, he ordered. The data package transmitted across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds. Within hours, every major alien civilization would have access to information that would rewrite their understanding of galactic history on the crystalline hegemony homeworld. The High Council gathered in emergency session as the human data arrived. The evidence was overwhelming. Ruins on dozens of worlds that had puzzled archaeologists for centuries suddenly made sense. The unknown technology, the strange writing, the advanced engineering, it had all been human. How long have they been watching us? Asked Council member Zathara. According to this data, replied the Council's chief archaeologist, human settlements existed on our outer worlds over 3,000 years ago. They were here before we ever left our home system. The implications were staggering. If humans had been present throughout the galaxy for millennia, what else did they know? What other secrets had they been keeping? Back in the solar system, the standoff continued. The alien fleets remained at a safe distance from the human ships, unwilling to test their capabilities. The humans had demonstrated technology that seemed impossible, and no alien commander wanted to be the first to attack. General Marcus Stone, commander of the Outer System Defenses, watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The aliens were exactly where humanity wanted them, confused, frightened, and unwilling to make the first move. Sir, his aide reported, we're receiving surrender requests from 3 of the smaller alien fleets. They're requesting permission to leave the system, Marcus nodded. Grant them safe passage. Let them return to their homeworlds and spread the word about what they've seen here. Commander Ashley Martinez received new orders from Fleet Command. The UES retribution was to demonstrate humanity's weapons capabilities to ensure the aliens understood the consequences of aggression. Target the asteroid field in Sector 7, she ordered her weapons officer. Fire 1 shot from the main gun. The alien fleets watched in horror as a single beam of energy lanced out from the human ship. The asteroid field, which contained rocks the size of small moons, simply ceased to exist. The weapon had somehow erased matter at the atomic level, leaving nothing but empty space where the asteroids had been. By the stars, whispered Commander Zixahol aboard the Crystal Storm. What kind of technology is that? His science officer could only stare at the readings. I don't know, sir. It's beyond anything in our understanding of physics. The demonstration had its intended effect. The alien fleets began to withdraw to a safer distance, their commanders suddenly very aware of how outmatched they were. The humans had revealed technology that seemed to violate the laws of physics, and no one wanted to test it further. President Collins made one final broadcast to the alien fleets. You came here, seeking answers. Now you have them. The galaxy reacted to humanity's revelation like a nest of angry hornets. Within hours of President Collins' broadcast, emergency meetings were called on every major homeworld. The species that had dismissed humans as weak newcomers now faced the terrifying reality that they had been living under the watchful eyes of an ancient, advanced civilization. On the crystalline hegemony homeworld of Zarian Prime, the High Council met in their great crystal chamber. The room sparkled with nervous energy as dozens of crystal beings discussed the crisis. "We must form an alliance," declared High Counselor Vexthren, his crystal form glowing bright red with anger. "The humans have made fools of us all. They cannot be allowed to continue this deception." Council member Zethara flickered with uncertainty. "But their technology, Vexthren, did you see what their weapon did to that asteroid field? It simply erased matter from existence." "All the more reason to act quickly," Vexthren replied. "If we wait, they will only grow stronger." Similar conversations were happening across the galaxy. The Void Hunter clans were calling for immediate war. The Zephyrian Empire was frantically trying to recall their invasion fleets. Smaller species were begging for protection from anyone who would listen. Warchief Graktal of the Void Hunters stood before his assembled clan leaders in the great war hall of their flagship. The massive alien warriors, each standing over 3 meters tall with 4 arms and bone armor covering their bodies, listened as their leader spoke. "The humans think they can frighten us with their ancient ships and mysterious weapons," Graktal roared. "But we are Void Hunters. We have conquered 100 worlds. We will not bow to these deceivers." The clan leaders roared their approval, their battle cries echoing through the ship. Within hours, the largest Void Hunter fleet in history began assembling. Over 50,000 ships from dozens of clan worlds started moving toward human space, but the Void Hunters were not alone. The crystalline hegemony contributed another 30,000 ships. The Zephyrian Empire, despite their fear, added 20,000 vessels to the coalition. Smaller species, terrified of being left defenseless, sent whatever ships they could spare. Admiral Lisa Carter watched the formation of the enemy coalition from her command center on Earth. Intelligence reports flooded in from human agents throughout the galaxy, agents whose existence had just been revealed to the alien powers. "How many ships are we looking at?" she asked her intelligence chief, Colonel Robert Hayes. "Current estimates put the coalition fleet at over 100,000 vessels." "Admiral," Robert replied. "It's the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history," Lisa nodded grimly. It was exactly what humanity had expected. The revelation of their true nature would force the galaxy's powers to unite against them. The question was whether humanity was ready for what was coming. "What's the status of our fleet?" she asked. "Admiral Carter," reported Fleet Commander Susan Miller, "we have 800 active warships, plus approximately 5,000 automated defense platforms throughout our territory. Our ships are individually more powerful, but we're heavily outnumbered." The numbers looked grim, but Lisa knew something the aliens did not. Humanity had been preparing for this exact scenario for over 1,000 years. Every ship, every weapon, every tactical doctrine had been designed specifically for fighting overwhelming numbers of enemy vessels. Captain Jake Morrison found himself in an unexpected position. After years of playing the role of a weak human diplomat, he was now commanding one of humanity's most advanced ships, the UES Thunderbolt. The ship was only 2 kilometers long, making it small compared to humanity's largest vessels, but it carried weapons that could destroy fleets. "Captain," his tactical officer, Lieutenant Carol Adams, reported, "we're detecting the vanguard of the coalition fleet. Approximately 5,000 ships moving in standard formation." Jake looked at the tactical display. The enemy ships were arranged in the traditional battle formations used by galactic powers for centuries. Formations that human military strategists had studied and prepared counters for. Are they using the Kepler formation? Jake asked. Yes, sir. Standard Void Hunter assault pattern, with crystalline support wings and Zephyrian reserves. Jake smiled. The aliens were fighting the last war, using tactics that were centuries old. They had no idea what they were walking into. Signal the fleet, he ordered. Execute Protocol Omega. Throughout the human fleet, captains received the same order. Protocol Omega was humanity's most secret battle plan, developed specifically for fighting large numbers of conventionally armed opponents. Commander Ashley Martinez received the signal aboard the UES Retribution. Her massive ship was the centerpiece of the human formation, its weapons charged and ready for battle. Around her, the human fleet moved into positions that would seem random to alien observers, but were actually precisely calculated to maximize their firepower advantage. All ships report ready, Captain, her communications officer announced. Good, Ashley replied. Let's show them what human engineering can really do. The Coalition fleet approached the outer edge of the solar system with confidence. Despite their recent shock at humanity's revelation, the alien commanders believed that sheer numbers would carry the day. They had faced advanced technology before and overcome it through mass attacks. Admiral Veltar of the Zephyrian fleet felt less confident than his allies. He had dealt with humans for years and knew they were more cunning than they appeared. The fact that they had maintained such an elaborate deception for centuries suggested a level of strategic thinking that worried him. Admiral, his tactical officer reported, the human fleet is moving into an unusual formation. It doesn't match any known battle doctrine. Veltar studied the display. The human ships were spreading out across a wide area, seemingly leaving themselves vulnerable to concentrated attack. It looked like a mistake, but Veltar had learned not to underestimate human tactics. Maintain formation, he ordered. We proceed as planned. War Chief Greichtel had no such doubts. From the bridge of his flagship, he watched the approaching human fleet with savage anticipation. The human ships looked impressive, but they were vastly outnumbered. Attack formation, he commanded. Show these humans what happens when they deceive the Void Hunters. The Coalition fleet accelerated toward the human positions. 50,000 ships in the first wave, with another 50,000 in reserve. It was a force that should have been able to overwhelm any defense, but as they approached firing range, something unexpected happened. The space around the human fleet began to shimmer and distort. Hidden weapon platforms, invisible to alien sensors, suddenly materialized throughout the battlefield. Commander Helen Foster, stationed aboard the monitoring ship Use Vigilant, watched as the automated defense grid activated. The platforms had been building themselves for over a millennium, spreading throughout human space like a vast web of protection. Platform activation complete, she reported to Fleet Command. We now have over 20,000 active weapon platforms in the battle zone. The aliens suddenly found themselves flying not toward a small human fleet, but into a carefully prepared killing field. Weapons that bent space and time began firing, creating effects that the alien ships had no defense against. The Uzi's Thunderbolt fired its main weapon, a device that could manipulate gravity itself. The beam struck the leading edge of the Void Hunter formation, and entire ships simply collapsed in on themselves as their local gravity increased by thousands of times. Direct hit, reported Lieutenant Carol Adams. Enemy casualties, 47 ships destroyed, dozens more damaged. Jake Morrison watched the results with grim satisfaction. One shot from his ship had eliminated more enemy vessels than most species could build in a year. The Coalition fleet began to realize they were in serious trouble. Their weapons, designed to fight conventional opponents, barely scratched the hulls of the human ships. Meanwhile, human weapons were destroying their vessels with terrifying efficiency. Commander Zixahal of the Crystal Storm watched in horror as his support ships were systematically destroyed by weapons that seemed to ignore the laws of physics. His crystal form flickered with panic as he realized the true scope of human technological superiority. All ships, withdraw to long range, he ordered. We need to reassess the situation, but withdrawal was not easy. The human weapons had ranges far beyond anything in the alien arsenal. Ships trying to escape found themselves targeted by weapons. Firing from impossible distances, the UES, Retribution demonstrated the pinnacle of human technology when it fired its planet-killer weapon at maximum power. The beam, designed to crack worlds, instead spread its energy across a wide area. Thousands of coalition ships simply ceased to exist. Their matter converted directly to energy. Admiral Veltar watched his fleet dissolve around him and made a decision that would save thousands of lives. All Zephyrian ships, signal surrender. We cannot win this battle. His surrender signal was quickly followed by others. The crystalline hegemony ships began transmitting ceasefire requests. Even some of the Void Hunter clans, faced with impossible losses, started to withdraw. But War Chief Graktal refused to give up. "No retreat," he roared. "We fight until the last ship." His fanaticism cost his people dearly. The remaining Void Hunter ships continued their attack. 3 months after the battle that changed everything, the galaxy looked very different. The old Galactic Council chamber on the neutral world of Nexus Prime had been rebuilt and expanded. But now, instead of species meeting as equals, there was a clear hierarchy with humanity at the top. Ambassador Patricia Williams walked into the Grand Council chamber for the first time as Earth's official representative. Unlike the previous human diplomats who had played weak and humble, Patricia carried herself with the confidence of someone representing the galaxy's dominant power. The alien delegates watched her enter with a mixture of fear and respect. Admiral Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire, his skin a nervous blue-green, stood as she approached. Beside him, Commander Zixahul of the crystalline hegemony flickered with subdued light, his crystal form much dimmer than it had been months ago. "Ambassador Williams," Veltar said carefully, "welcome to the new council session." Patricia nodded politely but did not offer the usual diplomatic pleasantries. The time for pretending all species were equal had ended. "Thank you, Admiral. I trust you have had time to review Earth's proposals for the new galactic order." The proposals had been delivered to every major power 3 weeks ago. They were not suggestions or requests for negotiation. They were the new rules that humanity expected everyone to follow. On Earth, President Laver Collins met with her cabinet to discuss the implementation of humanity's new role in galactic affairs. The revelation of their true capabilities had gone better than expected. Most alien species had accepted the new reality quickly, understanding that resistance was futile. "What's the status of the integration process?" she asked Secretary of State Daniel Murphy. "Going smoothly, Madam President," Daniel replied. 87% of galactic governments have formally accepted the new protection agreements. The remaining holdouts are mostly smaller species who are still processing the change. The protection agreements were humanity's solution to governing the galaxy. Rather than direct conquest, Earth would serve as the ultimate authority while allowing other species to maintain their local governments. In exchange for human protection and access to human technology, the alien species would accept human oversight of major galactic policies. Captain Jake Morrison, now serving as humanity's Minister of Interstellar Relations, visited the former Zephyrian stronghold of Beta Centauri. The massive space station had once been a symbol of Zephyrian military might. Now it served as a regional administrative center under human oversight. "Captain Morrison," greeted Station Commander Yelbeth, a young Zephyrian who had been appointed by the new government. "Welcome to Beta Centauri. How may we serve Earth today?" Jake still felt uncomfortable with the formal deference, but he understood its necessity. The galaxy needed to understand that the old order was gone forever. "I'm here to inspect the implementation of the new trade regulations," Jake said. "How are your people adapting to the changes?" "Very well, sir," Yelbeth replied. "Productivity is up 30% since we began using human manufacturing techniques. Our people are grateful for Earth's guidance." The truth was more complex. While many Zephyrians appreciated the improved technology and economic benefits, others resented their loss of independence. But after seeing what happened to the Coalition fleet, no one was willing to openly resist human authority, the UES. Eternal had taken its place as the flagship of the new galactic peacekeeping force. Commander Maria Santos now oversaw a fleet that included ships from dozens of species, all operating under human command. The alien crews served alongside human officers, learning advanced tactics and operating procedures. "Status report," Maria called as she entered the bridge of the Eternal. "All systems normal, Captain," replied her first officer, Commander Brian Lee. "The mixed crews are performing well. Integration is proceeding ahead of schedule." The mixed crews had been humanity's idea for building trust and demonstrating their advanced capabilities. Alien officers served on human ships while human advisors worked aboard alien vessels. It was a way of showing that humanity's dominance came not from cruelty, but from superior knowledge and technology. On the crystalline hegemony homeworld, archaeologist Dr. Zethkara worked alongside human scientist Dr. Samuel Blake to uncover the true history of the galaxy. The collaboration had revealed startling truths about how long humanity had been present throughout known space. "Dr. Blake," Zethkara said, her crystal form flickering with excitement, "these ruins on our outer moon are definitely human in origin. The architecture matches the patterns from your historical database." Samuel nodded as he examined the ancient structures. "According to our records, this settlement was established about 4,000 years ago. It was one of hundreds of research outposts from humanity's first expansion period. The archaeological discoveries were rewriting galactic history. Ruins that had puzzled alien scientists for centuries were revealed to be remnants of humanity's ancient empire. On world after world, evidence emerged of human presence that predated the rise of every other known civilization." "How long were you really out here?" Zethkara asked. "Our first starships left Earth over 6,000 years ago," Samuel replied. "By the time your species achieved spaceflight, we had already been exploring the galaxy for millennia." The revelation was humbling for species that had thought themselves ancient and wise. The crystalline hegemony, proud of their 3,000-year space age, discovered that humans had been traveling the stars twice as long. In the outer reaches of former Void Hunter territory, General Marcus Stone oversaw the establishment of new peacekeeping bases. The Void Hunter clans, reduced to a fraction of their former strength after the disastrous battle, had been forced to accept human oversight of their military activities. "General Stone," reported Colonel Lisa Brooks, "the Void Hunter clans have completed the surrender of their heavy weapons. All planet killer devices have been transferred to human custody." Marcus nodded with satisfaction. The Void Hunters had been the galaxy's most aggressive species, constantly raiding and conquering weaker civilizations. Under human oversight, their warrior culture was being redirected toward peaceful competition and exploration. "What about clan leader Thekrul?" Marcus asked. "He was one of the more cooperative clan leaders during the transition. He's requested permission to establish a Void Hunter exploration fleet," Lisa replied. "They want to map uncharted regions of the galaxy under human supervision." It was exactly the kind of productive redirection humanity had hoped for. Instead of conquest, the Void Hunters would use their natural aggression for exploration and DISCOVRY. Dr. Nicole Parker worked in her new office at the Galactic Historical Institute, a joint human-alien organization dedicated to uncovering the true history of the galaxy. Her research had revealed that humanity's influence on galactic development had been far greater than anyone imagined. The genetic samples from 17 different species show clear signs of ancient human intervention, she explained to her assistant, Dr. Kethron, who had transferred from the crystalline hegemony fleet to work with human scientists. "Are you saying humans influenced our evolution?" Kethron asked, his crystal form shimmering with curiosity. "Not directly," Nicole replied, "but your ancestors had contact with human settlements. There was cultural exchange, technology transfer, even some interbreeding with compatible species. Humanity didn't just watch the galaxy develop, we helped guide it. The implications were staggering. Many of the galaxy's major technological breakthroughs, attributed to various alien species throughout history, had actually originated from Human sources. Humanity had been the galaxy's hidden teachers for millennia. Ambassador Patricia Williams concluded her first major treaty negotiation as Earth's representative. The Outer Rim Defense Pact would place humanity's most advanced defensive systems around vulnerable worlds throughout the galaxy. In exchange, the protected species would contribute resources and personnel to human-led exploration missions. This agreement benefits everyone, she told the assembled alien delegates. Humanity provides protection and advanced technology. Your species contribute your unique skills and perspectives to our joint missions. The treaty was signed without dissent. The alien delegates understood that this was not really a negotiation. It was humanity explaining how the new galaxy would work. But the terms were fair, and the benefits were real. Captain Emma Roberts stood on the bridge of the UES Discovery, humanity's newest exploration vessel. The ship carried a mixed crew of humans and aliens, working together to explore previously uncharted regions of the galaxy. It was a symbol of the new cooperative order that humanity had established. "Captain," reported her science officer, a young Zephyrian named Telver, "we're detecting artificial structures in the next system. The configuration matches ancient human design patterns." Emma smiled. "Another piece of humanity's lost empire, waiting to be rediscovered. Set course for the structures. Let's see what our ancestors left for us to find." As the Discovery jumped to faster-than-light speed, Emma reflected on how much had changed. The galaxy that had once dismissed humanity as newcomers now looked to them for leadership and guidance. The species that had plotted against Earth now competed for the honor of working alongside human crews.